Well, based on my views, at the end of the day, the American dream is an actual fluke. But I'm here with someone to debate me because, you know, I'm not first generation anything. I'm just American. But we do have a wonderful guest with us today. We have Dometi Pongo, who is former MTV News correspondent. Y'all have probably seen his work all over Paramount, including MTV. He is the current host of MTV's True Life series, as well as the host of Chestnut Checkers podcast.
Hey.
By the way, I couldn't go through all of the things that you do because y'all may see him on any and every red carpet for any and every MTV award show, every festival, all the things. But I also have two guys that y'all are very familiar with that unfortunately I have to introduce. But we are also very American here. So, well, okay, Puerto Rico is America.
I'm suffering under our colonialism. The U.S. gives me a different name. So, in spirit,
you American.
No, in spirit, I'm not.
Okay, in spirit, you not.
We claiming you, man. We're on the immigrant side.
In experiment, I'm aligning with this, with Ghana and my brother over here.
Yes,
but
sir.
Y'all, that's Jason Rodriguez, producer extraordinaire and a king. Why are we taking all of this out?
Yo, you see Doge? How they be acting?
He said we're gonna get swept up.
Like nobody. You go to the bodega to get a chopped cheese.
They targeting journalists right now.
I'm not gonna lie.
Funny, not funny though.
We weren't recording, but it was really funny. So did my research on Dometi and saw that he was first generation Ghanaian American. And literally, so I'm talking to him about his family, and I was like, "Are you? Were they?" Can I call you an immigrant? Like
she thought it was a slur. She's like, "Are you?"
And we were talking about because where we're at, I'm like, ooh, this thing is kind of tricky.
The climate has changed the wording around everything. I think we underestimated pre-Trump era what the president means for how we look through everything in the American lens. Like, right, the words he uses, how and I said off air, I was saying the same thing. Like, he says Mexican like it's a slur. Like so even when you say, yo, you know, Mexican, you be kind of like, Mexican. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
it's why he removed Mexico from the Gulf. He said the Gulf of America, the Gulf of the United States of America. Like, I agree.
But I am the proud son of immigrants.
I know that's right.
Yeah, I love being from Ghana. I love my immigrant brothers and sisters. Yeah, like we here.
So being from Ghana, so I'm from Florida. Another
country too.
You know, it is its own country. I know, it's so embarrassing. But my views on being born here and the privilege of being born here, or what the American dream entailed, to me was a lie, was a fallacy. The same way, you know, again, science is questionable too, but I told y'all it's my trauma from them removing Pluto as a planet. But I want to ask you, as a first generation Ghanaian American, what the American dream looked like maybe for your parents, because you were born here.
Yeah.
That's first generation. For those of y'all who choose to be ignorant and not know what it means, you are American, but your parents were not born here.
Correct. Yes.
So what were their views of the American dream? Because I assume they had one having you born here.
Yeah, and they are safe. They are they're safe from deportation. Good. They got all the papers, you know.
However, I don't know if you did see.
I did see.
Did you see the recent
530,000?
I thought it was 750,000.
Oh, it may have been since the last time I read it. You may be more up to date than me.
750,000 people have had their citizenships revoked. Yeah. So Cuban Americans, Venezuelan American, like certain countries, of course. But he's going through removing citizenship rights.
Attempting. Because the judges are still...
Well, that's the thing. The same way he took away those federal jobs and then they was like, wait, nigga, you actually can't do that. We going to reinstate these things. There may be something that comes down through the pipeline where these citizens who earn their rights to live here get those back. Yeah. But baby, it's tricky waters.
And people have been misusing the word deporting, because when you deport someone, you send them to the country that they're originally from. He has been sending these people not even to the country that they are from.
Oh, wait, I missed that. He just sending them to
No, you
Mexico?
didn't say the word deport. No, he said El Salvador, I believe it is.
Yeah.
He's sending them to El Salvador.
Wait,
Because some no country is no longer taking them back. Right. So if you're Venezuelan, you may not be able to go back to Venezuelan, so you're going to pit stop somewhere else.
So El Salvador is taking a lot of these immigrants in by choice.
Or some are going to Cuba.
So and they're putting them in essentially like camps, or would it be the equivalent of carceral communities, like basically incarcerating folks. And these are people who had, whether it was temporary status or they were permanent residents, or I haven't read up on it recently, so you might have to fact check a little bit on my selective.
Oh yeah, y'all might have to fact check. If I say a number, look, luckily we got a stat up there, and we'll get into it. But before we go there, what was the dream that your parents had having you here in America?
Oh, the main thing was just better life. So my dad he went to school for divinity, and he has a PhD in philosophy with a focus on divinity, and he went to University of Chicago.
Okay.
And sent for my mom a little while later, and I got 2 older sisters. We all were born in Chicago. But his whole goal was to come here, go to school, got a scholarship, and the American dream is exactly what we all thought it would be, right? Go to school, get a job, build a foundation, buy some land, and then in America, and then eventually go back home, maybe build a house back home.
Oh, okay.
And retire, back in Ghana. But
where is he at in that dream?
Man, everybody think they gonna go back. They end up chilling. They go spending 10 years between visits and all of that, and then before you know, you just end up settling down where you are, and that's what my parents did. That's what you become American. And that's what most of my cousins' parents did. Most of my uncle and aunts, they always have it. And we have a house back in Ghana, but the goal is to go back and live there, but you end up building a life here. You don't expect to build a life for several decades in a place and not feel like it's home and call it home. And how the American dream has evolved for them is you can get saddled with student debt. You're an accountant, this. And
I know student debt.
And student debt. What I'm saying? Thank God I paid mine off.
I did not want to know Sally Mae ever.
Man, I'm intimately
she be knocking on my door monthly, child.
Man, still?
I be like, girl.
Do you even pay that back, or you keep deferring?
What's crazy? It just dinged my credit score, and I am looking to purchase a home.
Because of the new rules, right?
Well, that's the thing. So during the pandemic and stuff, of course, they defaulted everything. But if Trump want to remove the Department of Education, I'm hoping it removes these loans.
Yeah.
But
he said the SBA woman is gonna be.
Well, no, apparently, and that's the crazy thing. I pay that.
Wow.
Hey, SBA
they get you both ways.
Hold on, SBA is getting the bare minimum, okay?
Right.
But the SBA was at a 1% interest rate. My student loans, baby, I've been paying since 2018, and I don't even think I've touched the principal yet. Because that's what they do. They get you on that guy, and I don't know the APR rate, but it's given a new car with bad credit. It got to be at a 24% rate, because I don't understand how I haven't even touched the principal. I think I'm still at
well, you got to pay more than the minimum.
Without paying more than, well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And baby, you getting just the $130 or whatever the minimum.
Whatever the minimum.
But
here's what's happened. One of my dreams was to pay off and I always said that, I was like, I'm gonna pay off my student loans with one check, just because I thought that was just cold to do.
That's a flex.
And that was a flex. And I was able to do it, and my credit score went down.
Right, because you don't like that.
Because you no longer have that monthly charge.
Did you have credit cards? Or that was just probably your only debt?
And I had one credit card. I still only have 2 credit cards.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I got a business credit and a personal one.
Okay.
But it went down. I'm like, that's not what this is supposed to. But I didn't do any research before, because I had this thing in my head, because I wanted to be able, and going back to the American dream, right? So my parents thought that the only way to achieve success in this country was a couple jobs. You're a lawyer, a doctor, and an engineer.
There we go.
Pretty much it.
Yep.
And maybe we'll let you get away with business or accounting, right? Okay. You know what I'm saying? And so when I majored in business, I went to economics because it was still something that was rigorous. It was something I could hang my hat on. Dad, I'm studying numbers and all of that. But then I got into creative work after I worked in corporate America for a year, got into creative work. And then my career took off, and it kind of was like a cognitive dissonance for my family, where wait a minute, there are other ways to make it in this country. Right. And now we're seeing not just immigrants, but Americans, millennials in particular. The American dream is out of reach for most of us. There's a wealth gap between boomers and Gen X and millennials. What used to be true isn't true anymore about what your degree means. Then the economy slowed. If you don't let you be even a Gen Z coming out during the time of the pandemic.
The people who couldn't graduate high school in person or went into college online. And then the addition of chat AI and chat GPT and artificial intelligence, and how you're even gathering information and things. Yeah. It's not even Google now, it's chat GPT. To see how quick the landscape can go. And it's crazy too that you even bring up just from an international perspective, even from me being in Florida, right? Everything that I saw growing up, a job was a blue collar job. I didn't grow up seeing many doctors, lawyers, like finance, accounting. That became an option for me when I moved to New York because that's the number one industry here. It's finance and accounting, and then real estate is number 2. And I forgot what the third one is here in New York, if you want to fact check that. But growing up in Florida, everyone that I knew did hair, so was into cosmetology, was into hospitality, either hotels or theme parks or hospitals. That was what you want to do. It's one of those fields. And so I think even geographically, there's an element of where you're limited with your perception on what the American dream looks like. Fact. For most of the people I went to school with, when I go back down to Orlando, all of them, they're actually still, some of them, majority of them, married or with children with high school sweethearts or people they met in high school. Some of them live on the same blocks that they grew up in. They work jobs that, but their lives are very, I don't want to say ordinary, but compared to how maybe you live in New York or even a Chicago, a major city, even
it's less complex.
Way less complex than if you have actually the big world picture. And what's crazy is the big world picture, having had it, having come from Florida, having even studied abroad, this idea that we have the ability to reach this falsehood of an American dream is gone. It doesn't exist. I think even for us as creatives, I think it's interesting seeing all the Gen Zers want to be YouTubers, want to be influencers, even the landscape of how you make money.
To
know that you could be
completely.
19, no degree, never traveled anywhere and be a millionaire.
Do you want to do the American dream? What the American dream is? Because I know we're kind of
around it. Here we go. Americans are split over the state of the American dream, of course, according to a study last year by the Pew Research Center. Now, here's the American dream, quote unquote. It's a century-old phrase used to describe the idea that anyone can achieve success in the U.S. through hard work and determination. And right now, about half of Americans, 53%, actually do still believe that the dream is possible. So over half, me not being a part of the half, do believe that this dream is still possible, which I don't understand how you could believe through hard work and determination you can achieve getting a home, you can achieve being debt-free, you can achieve being able to raise multiple children within a household, even with 2 incomes, when we're literally being told every day that there's not enough money, like there is enough money in the economy, but even 2 income households aren't able to truly exist without one emergency.
Yeah. See, this is what it is. The American dream is essentially the belief that capitalism allows for upward mobility.
Ooh.
And in order for capitalism to exist, there has to be an underclass. And that is why the American dream will always be unattainable for a subsect of American society. Capitalism cannot exist without an underclass.
Which is crazy that 53% of Americans see it to be possible, considering only 2% have the money that, you know what I mean? When we talk about where we are in the realm of economics, majority of us are underserved, underprivileged, making below, damn near poverty line or below. Like when you look at the average income across multiple states within the U.S., it's like $45,000. Mind you, we're seeing that 1-bedroom apartments are now fucking $2,000 a month. Correct. Half going to rent.
And then they want you to make 4 times the rent.
No. New York is a different type. New York, like y'all don't even know.
You want me to make $250,000 to live right here? I make $250,000 and I'm not living here, my nigga. Like
it's bad. I mean, it was a part of me moving, right? Like even someone who is definitely in the 1 percentile of the money that I make, being in New York seemed like, what am I doing? Like the cost of living here is outrageous. What's the something of life? Quality of life.
Yeah.
Although I ain't gonna hold you, I don't move to Atlanta like, no, I need wash and fold service. come and pick it up, drop it off, and fold it and order it so I can just put it away.
But see, here's the whole thing that America sits on. It's The fact that it's called a dream is because everybody else is supposed to believe in it. And even through slavery, right, we had white people in the South. Most white folks during slavery could not afford to own slaves, but they bought into the idea of an underclass. They needed to know that we are better than them over there. We're better than dark. That was enough to uphold capitalism. So you need to believe in an Elon Musk. You need to believe in a Donald Trump. You need, whether it's rational or not, you need to think, I can get there. So and that's why we worship those kinds of businessmen and those type of people. So the dream needs to, almost like an American myth, that is necessary for us to believe in for this society to continue.
Okay, I'm going to take it a little hot here. You just brought up Elon, you brought up Trump. You said we have to believe that they exist. So then do you find it to be a problem? Do you find it to be a problem that within our own community, we look at the Oprahs, the Tyler Perrys, the Issa Raes? Is it a myth that we can reach their level of success knowing that they are Black? They are, either, I don't know if any of them specifically are first generation, but there are also first generation and African-American individuals who reach those levels of success. Is it a myth for us as millennials or Gen Z and everyone, all of their predecessors, to look up to them?
I don't think it's a myth, but I think it's an imbalance.
Okay.
I think that America over prioritizes Hollywood and celebrity.
And they be broke. And they don't even be the ones with the money.
They don't be the ones with the bread.
What we talking about?
You know what I'm saying? And so we often denigrate our community for being a microcosm of what American society at large does. America is obsessed with Hollywood. Black America is obsessed with Hollywood.
Yes.
So it's not a myth that Oprah and Issa Rae and Tyler Perry and Jay-Z and Will Smith, using those as models are not a myth, but we can't say that they are the only forms of success. Also, we need to look at some of those blue collar people, because in that blue collar thing that you're talking about back home, there's someone who owns a plumbing company who makes a lot more than that $250,000 we're talking about. Somebody is a millionaire sitting on a blue collar business.
Oh, I don't know if you get into housewives, but baby, Shamia's husband literally owns, he owns the company that provides the HVAC systems for airports.
You see what I'm saying?
And they live in a $9 million home. He is loaded.
And there's somebody out there right now saying, heating and cooling. My man can't be no heating and cooling. Like, not knowing.
Oh.
Not knowing.
Okay, first off, you taking us to somewhere else. I think that's another thing. Within our community, there's an element and stigma around certain jobs. Yeah, like whether it be the construction worker, whether it be the plumber, whether it be the bus driver. We saw that last year. Ebony K went on there and said she wouldn't date the bus driver, and that became a whole thing, right? And it's crazy because we're not afforded generational wealth or being Nepo babies, a lot of us, majority of us, and yet we also look down on the hard worker. Yeah. When it says the definition is hard work and determination will lead you to this dream that we all have. I also saw a quote somewhere, and I don't know if it's in here, but it was great. But it pretty much said that the American dream is a dream because you only have it while you're asleep.
So when you wake up. When
you woke. It's the woke part.
Which by the way.
We may be too woke here.
Republicans are so good going back to Mexican immigrant. They done made woke a cuss word. Yeah. Remember when we used to be proud to be woke?
Yep. It's a badge of honor.
It's actually true. It's such a...
But woke mean nigga.
Now, and it used to mean conscious.
Whenever they use that word.
Why did you whisper nigga? You could say it.
Well, no, I just more. It's like highlighting
woke does mean that.
When they say that, they're speaking to a particular people.
That's right.
When they say DEI, they're speaking to a particular people.
That's
you
right.
know what it is.
It's the exact same thing.
It's code switch. It's code word switch.
We do it to ourselves as well. I remember, and people who call themselves hoteps can own this too.
I was gonna say
do you call yourself that?
Is that,
I feel like we call them
but
that.
originally, hotep, it means, what does it mean? Peace, right? And it used to be brothers who were trying to instill a consciousness in us. They just became a caricature of themselves because a lot of hoteps also traffic in misogyny and all these other things.
Not only that, it's the outfits.
I tell my
it's the outfits. But the point I'm making is, we now laugh at the conscious community when actually these are people that are trying to teach us knowledge of self. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not championing all the hoteps on the internet before y'all put a kufi on my head and say.
Not Mr. Johnson?
Not Brother Johnson. Nah, not Brother Johnson.
Not 19 Keys?
I ain't even. I mess with the brother 19 Keys.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. He would call himself a hotel because of a bad connotation to it.
Right. I tell my homegirls just now I'm trolling them, but I'm like, yo, Grand Rising, get the fuck. I'm like, yo, how did y'all demonize Grand Rising?
Exactly.
I ain't gonna hold you.
Look.
Do not Grand Rising me.
Come on, hold on. His name is King, sister. I think you need to adjust him.
You know what? It's not even. It's an affirmation.
Come on now.
But I'm trying to say this is who I'm trying. I'm trying to. If I say,
Uplift,
hey nigga,
say it.
hey
Right.
nigga.
Well, what Kanye say? Would you rather say I am a nigga? And anybody got a problem with that? But when I say I'm a god, it's a problem.
Grand
When I
Rising
tell
Queen,
you, this
Grand Rising,
is
man.
not the conversation we're
Grand Rising
having.
Queen.
Okay, my bad. We got off. Let me bring it back to your original questions, though, man.
I hate
You
the
hate this so
Grand
bad.
Rising. And you know what? And this could be me wanting to continue to be selectively ignorant there. Like, I get it that they have a purpose.
I actually don't get
in
Grand
teaching.
Rising. I don't know why.
You don't do the Grand Rising?
Not at all.
Okay,
I think
same, me neither.
Because I think it's we be so smart, we dumb. Like I think that people are using etymology to say that mourning is like mourning as in tears.
Edamame. I was about to be like, what we eating edamame for?
Nah, they be the study of words, and people talk about mourning with mourn,
Yes.
whatever. And mourning, like, no, we're not mourning, we are
tragedy.
happy. And I think those root words are actually different. So
They literally
it ain't
are.
even. It ain't even. But I want to get back to your original question because
Yes.
I veered too far off what you asked.
It's okay.
Me. You said, is it a myth around using these other people? And so just to put a button on that, I think that we have truncated what success looks like, and we need to expand it. So just like we have now expanded that the influencer and the internet can make millionaires and all of that,
Yes.
let's know that HVAC can make millionaires.
Yep.
Let's know that there are so many there. I got a homie who works in corporate America. He makes on the lower six figures, but he's got so many investments and lives so frugally that his net worth is, and he's giving me investment strategies, right? And a lot of my money doesn't come from what I make salary wise so different than what my investments are. And I learned it from somebody whose salary is lower than mine.
So I was gonna say that's also another element of where the American dream. When I grew up, it was never taught to me markets, investments. The only investment was at one point a home, and then you have your 401k, Social Security, and retirement funds.
Yep.
Like those were the only things that, as a millennial, I was taught. Again, coming from Florida, coming from a low income, middle class family, those were the only investments.
Yeah.
So for me, and also working multiple jobs. My mom worked multiple jobs. My dad, like everyone in my family, barely made it with multiple jobs.
Facts.
So you always had to have multiple streams of income. But what you're saying in terms of even having someone talk to you about where to invest your money, that part of it was never a part of the American dream. But also maybe because while I was in high school, 2008 is when the huge market crash took place. Mm-hmm. And so again, I think leaving high school, graduating in 2009, formed me to almost immediately be like, what the fuck is next?
Yeah.
Like the market crash happened. Gas was at its highest. Everything we thought couldn't happen, right? In 2008, we got a black president. Mm-hmm. Everything that I had thought to be just this world I lived in and how to go about doing everything almost seemed to, and I hate to blame us having a black president because I'm not, but everything that I thought existed as the world we lived in seemed to immediately shift as soon as I got out of school, right? So all of these people who lost their jobs caused the unemployment rate to skyrocket. Multiple people lost their homes because they had their money within the markets
bubble,
and the housing bubble happened. And so to me, maybe it's why it took me 7 years to even go back to school, because I was like, well, what the fuck do I do? I think the pandemic brought me back to that too, where I essentially don't view a world of planning or goal setting, because at any given moment, we could have the fucking president remove the entire Department of Education, and now that means nothing. At any given point, I could sit here and be on the route to feel like I can be in control of my body, and they reverse Roe v. Wade. So it's why y'all may listen to me and I have these outlandish opinions, but when I sit here and look at how in a blink of an eye, my goals, what I thought the world was, what I thought life was, where I thought my life would be 5 or 10 or 15 years from now, because we're told to plan, right? Yeah. None of it matters. Yeah. None of it matters. And it reminds me of like when you go on dates and you're supposed to ask someone what their 5-year plan is and things like that. That is one question now, because of the 2008 market crash, because of how I busted my ass through college and now I'm working without my degree because of the pandemic. Bitch, I just be existing. Baby,
I'm just trying to get to point A to point B.
I literally even had a conversation with my boyfriend where I was like, well, don't do this. Here we go.
She's saying this, so it's just rolling off the tongue.
Practicing.
You know.
Mandy from 2 years ago, boyfriend was not even her.
I mean, in terms of even, right, what we envision a life with a partner's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Again, you date, you get engaged, you get married, you have the kids, I think that even now that element of the American dream has fell upon me to where I'm like, I've seen so many public divorces. Divorce rates are at an all-time high that it's just like.
Oh, it's you bring up a good thing because I think that, we talked about the American dream in terms of money, capitalism, economics, but how is it affecting people are putting off starting families? There was just a story it was either New York or New York Magazine I read a couple months ago that was talking about, the implications of millennials starting families later. What does it mean? We're not able to afford houses as early as we used to. What does it mean that we're starting families later? What will it look like? Because Social Security is reaching its cap. There might not be any money. We're not going to see it. We're paying into it.
We're paying into it and ain't going to see it.
So what about the generation after us? Right? So what do all of these different things mean? But one thing that's somewhat of I don't know if it's a silver lining, because there's a risk in looking at somebody like we ain't as bad as them, and that's like toxic. But one thing that I think we should remember in America, as difficult as it is, poverty in America looks a lot different than it does elsewhere in the world.
Yes.
And you still have, God bless their hearts, all of these, migrants and people fleeing real turmoil, whether it's war overseas, whether it's gang wars, whether it's just general depredation and the lack of a high GDP in the country they're coming from. Poverty here looks totally different from poverty anywhere else. And a motherfucker come out of school and be damn near depressed because they can't get a job. And I go to Ghana and I'll see somebody with less, happier than most of the people I know.
So that's what I wanted to say.
Talk to me.
I think that that's another lie that we were fed.
That what?
I think that even still positioning the experience of living in the U.S. above all these other countries is a false, brainwashed narrative that we have only because we do have gang violence. We do have wars literally in our backyard with the police, the people who are supposed to protect us, with the government, between sexes, between races. Like, even it's interesting now because on Decisions, we talk about a non-traditional way of living. We've also been, I don't want to use the word brainwashed, but brainwashed into this Western idea of monogamy that has hindered what a village actually looks like, which now we're talking about non-monogamy that exists in so many other countries because it's about building a village. It's about being able to afford housing and raising children with a village because you may live in poverty. Like in a lot of those townships and communities, there's multiple men and women and children in the household, and they've been able to exist in that way because this is what we have to do to survive. Here, no. Monogamy is what's viewed as right, and so every other way of living is viewed wrong, which is confusing considering that's why people have roommates. That's why a lot of people are getting into these polyamorous relationships or moving in with partners that they're not ready to be with because they literally cannot afford to pay rent by themselves. So we literally live in these, I don't want to call us third world because that would be a slight to real third world countries, but America is actually not as great and pristine and advanced as we are taught to believe.
Yes, and because I agree with that. And there's a reality that what the poverty line looks like in other countries.
Okay, yes. And
so I'm not saying that the median, upper middle class person in every country it's better to be an American than these other places. Just like I said, we can take our resources as immigrants here, make mad bread, and our money goes further. It's like 10-1 when you go to certain countries. But what I'm also saying is there isn't potable water in certain communities.
Yes.
Their shorties gotta go to another village. I mean, there are organizations that do work that we do behind the scenes about drilling boreholes in certain communities where they have to walk just to get water to drink and to bathe and do all these different things. Like, it's much realer than even living in California where we have a crazy homelessness or unhoused crisis there.
But can I also say, because but Alabama's not that different than that.
That's very
I mean,
true.
like,
And Mississippi too.
and
yeah.
Detroit.
Some of the examples
And
that
Detroit.
we're
They
using,
got
right?
lead in the
It's
water
true.
still.
It's true.
So I want to ask y'all this, because both of y'all are saying something about this idea of what we've been told or not, or the myth or not. So again, with this idea of the American dream, hard work and determination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so who still believes it? According to this study, higher earning Americans over 50, right?
Okay.
And so my question to y'all is, I think there's this idea that hard work probably used to do that, right? And there were blue collar jobs and owning your own plumbing shop. And so somehow that myth got reconstructed to this idea of education, and you have people pursuing like a philosophy degree that they
Yes.
can't use it now, right? And so I'm wondering, are these higher earning Americans over 50? It feels like to me, once they got their lick, they turned around and they pulled the ladder, right? And so now when we're talking about younger people having to reimagine the American dream, it's because the older people re-engineered it ahead of them, and so now they have no choice.
I don't think they re-engineered it as much as. Oh, this is gonna sound.
Go ahead.
Say it.
The way my brain works.
You've said worse.
Shut up. I think that the hard work and determination aspect of the American dream is gone. I think the entitlement now is more prevalent than anything. And I think also because of the economy we're in, people aren't willing to even do the unpaid internships. People aren't willing to actually do the work that even, I think the millennial was the last generation that actually even had to experience that. I've owned my business. I've had people come in with no skills, still wanting to be paid $20 to $25 an hour, not knowing what they're doing. Yeah. You want me to pay you to learn? Like
unwilling or unable? So like, I'm not in the case of you, because
Yes.
I'm sure that, you know, that's a whole different
Yes.
situation. But there are a lot of unpaid internships price a lot of people out of jobs.
Yes.
Complete, because I literally take care of mad people in my household. I cannot afford to be anywhere else for 8 hours a day and not make money. But the son of said CEO can do that unpaid internship because the
Yes.
rest of his life is financed, you know?
Okay, you got me. Because I don't consider always that element of it. I mean, again, I was deciding between toilet paper and food at a point. That's why I still got student loans. Because to me, it was, I need to take out these loans so I'm able to do that. I mean, I think there's a lot of risk in doing it, but I think that it's necessary and needed. And to know that also there is the ability to make money in ways that we didn't have the opportunity to. So making money by being on the internet. There's still also a lot of remote jobs.
Pictures.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know, I mean,
But nah,
really,
but-
But I think that,
But no
that's some of
creative
the
ways to
things
make it,
that the organization, like for millennials.
I mean, let's be
and
clear.
post,
None of us grew up
that's the
saying we want to be
adjustments they had
sex
make.
workers.
But I think
And
that's the
now
adjustments they've
a
had
part
to
of-
make. Yeah, right. It's like using the internet to do feed pictures, right? Or using bandwidth to do, like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's
A
now,
streamer, yeah.
And so I think now that's kind of people trying to determine, like, that's hard work, right? Because again, to your point of like the bus driver conversation, right? Like, you could be a truck driver and you own your truck business and your fleet of trucks and you make $300,000,
Right.
But somebody may still look down on you because this person has an accounting degree and they're a cog at the H&R Block and they make $100,000.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. There was definitely an element of, it's not the word privilege, but I definitely, once I obtained my degrees, I felt better than.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to admit that
But that's
because
another step.
what I do is admit the shit that y'all won't.
But is that another
First step
like
is
step
admit.
towards the ladder of the
But
American
to
dream?
me, it was like, and mind you, I'm a first generation college graduate. And so to me, it was praised by my family to do so. It was something that was deemed as, oh, you're on your way to being, again, I don't want to say better than or whatever, but to finish a degree came with some bragging rights, came with something. I'll be honest, now, again, they're just on my shelf. There's no really bragging rights in having a degree because I'm sitting on debt that someone that's probably making more money than me with no degree has. You know what I mean? It used to mean that I would be owed a higher paying job when I have a lot of friends right now that are looking for jobs, right? It is factual that it takes 6 weeks for a non-graduate to get a job and over 3 months, over double the time for someone with a degree to get a job. Because of course, your standards are going to be higher. Yeah. You're probably going to demand more pay because you have that degree, and the companies just aren't willing to pay it. Yeah. So someone now currently without a degree will get a job before someone with a degree. Yeah. That used to not be the case. Yeah. Unless you were working fast food, retail, all of those level jobs. The fact that now you could go to corporate, they've almost made the bachelor's degree an associate's.
Well, I think the other thing too is we got fed these things with no context. It was always get a degree. It wasn't saying, but you might not want to major in basket weaving.
It was also drink your milk to make your bones strong. They lied to us.
They lied to us.
They lied to us.
The whole food pyramid is a scam.
Nigga,
America's one advertising scam.
No.
Period.
Let's be very clear.
Is America Ponzi?
Yes.
America's a literal Ponzi.
It's an advertising
First
Ponzi
off, it's a
scheme.
psyop. I also thought that eggs were a part of the dairy category until recently. Ghetto.
Wait,
don't do that. Don't do that. I don't. You African. Don't bring your African knowledge over here.
No. I was gonna say the opposite. I was today years old. Eggs ain't dairy.
You didn't know eggs weren't dairy because they put it in that dumbass pyramid.
They put in that dumbass pyramid.
They brainwashed us, bro.
Yeah.
You said it. They took Pluto away from you.
The only thing that they got right was fucking tobacco. And them goddamn commercials with the woman with the.
But that's only because that's a lawsuit.
But
there's a lawsuit where they had to do it.
No, you ready?
But that's new tobacco.
No, you ready? And then they just rebranded it to hookah. Yeah, bitches. Literally.
But that's interesting. The tobacco industry only had to tell the truth when it was a huge lawsuit that created the Truth Campaign.
And then you had
it's not even new tobacco. They only did that because they got sued into having to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, to your point, they lied to us.
But which is insane because so many millennials do not smoke cigarettes. It's not a thing. I don't be out and people be. That's an older generation. However, guess what? They can't live without these goddamn vape pens and hookahs. Yeah. Same thing, just rebranded. Yeah, and so it's literally this idea of an American dream, right? We know we have the 2%ers that are pulling those ladders up that really don't want us to reach there. And then unfortunately within our own communities, as we grow, we don't believe that there's enough for everybody.
So how do we reimagine what the new version of American?
I want to know what an American dream looks like for you.
For me.
As someone with a degree, as someone who's first generation, as someone who's now kind of navigating his own businesses while also still being in corporate.
Having moved away from the family you come from. Yeah. Right? Your roots are in Chicago.
Yeah.
And you're not a doctor, you're not a scientist, you're not a lawyer. So then what does the American dream as a 35-year-old black first generation male look like?
It's not enough. No matter what you're doing, it's not enough. You can sit here. I was just having this conversation with somebody, bro. You could do something and be so proud of yourself, right? You can have a number in your mind. You could buy a house. You could do this. And then somebody's going to say, yeah, we just moved the goalposts. It's not enough. This ain't good enough. This ain't good enough. This ain't. So you have to decide in yourself. That's why I made the point earlier about contentment. So for me, the American dream in a country of excess, the American dream for me is contentment, happiness, reimagining family the way I want it to be. Peace. I don't need to check a box and get married by this point, have a child by this point, buy a home at this point. Living in New York City helped me to reframe my thinking around a lot of things.
There's the privilege of New York.
The privilege of New York.
It's the gift that keeps giving, honestly.
Yes. Then it retrains what you think about when your timeline should be for buying a property. Because buying property in New York, in New York proper. Yeah, come on. $1 million condo box. I'm not doing it. And then, I'm not ready to move to Jersey. So you start to think, okay, so my first home is going to be an investment property in the city that I come from.
I mean, even family building here.
Families look different.
You push back when you want to have children if you live in a metropolitan city.
So you have to reframe what does happiness look like. And then you have to change the title around what happiness looks like. Do you really want, going back to the jobs, right? Do you want to make the dollar amount, build a home, and be happy? Or do you want to do it, and does it only mean something if you are Dr. So-and-so, if you are Dr. Pongo doing these things?
You know what's crazy about you saying that? Or does it only mean something when you can show up in a room and say you have these things? That's a thing that I battled with. And it's either a past episode or upcoming episode. I sat with Ish and I was talking about purchasing a home. And I felt like because I'm within a certain tax bracket, then how everyone's telling me I need to buy a home. And I almost felt the pressure to buy a home. But is it like, do I only want to be a homeowner to say I'm a homeowner? Because it comes with a lot of because it comes with a lot of responsibility, right? Yes. However, I am in a place where I'm like, wait, nigga, that house that was $200,000 in 2020 is now $450, and I could be sitting on that equity and make the money. Like, okay, I'm thinking from a different landscape too, but also I'm like, am I pressured? And I think to me as a woman, those pressures of the American dream look a lot different, because it's the pressure of why I don't have a ring on my finger, why I don't have kids. Me being a successful person wasn't ever a part of the American dream as a woman. Let's be very clear too. There was two roads, but most American dreams for women were to get a husband, have kids, be a stay-at-home mom, raise a family, help build up your husband, help be that person to drive them. That was never it. But also because I think you and I are a product, not by our parents, but within the crack epidemic, where we were raised within single parent households. Maybe not you, but I was, and a lot of my peers were, to where that also shifted what the American dream also looked like from maybe what you thought it was from growing up in the 60s and 70s to then what it looked like growing up in the 90s.
Yes. And what we don't talk enough about too is how much environment plays a part, because you can have a two-parent household within the context of 90% of your friends and everybody around you has a different experience.
Yep.
And so there were books in my house, there were conversations about all of that. But when I went outside, it was a whole different, I had some challenges that a lot of folks who immigrated here in different neighborhoods didn't have.
Like what?
Just street shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just growing up on the south side of Chicago. And hanging with this group, and you don't see it as being involved in a gang or being involved with this and that. These are your friends. This is who you're with, right? So we want to look at ourselves and say, my family is fine, forget the neighborhood, forget everybody else. Nah, your kids are going to grow up around these people. And this community, if you're not helping this community, it's going to bleed onto your household. So it is on us to make sure that the whole collective is straight, because I don't care how rich you are. I'm telling you, I don't care how rich you are. All of the celebrities we named, they still got poor cousins.
Okay.
And them cousins are still in community with us in some way, whether culturally, even if not in actual proximity. And that's why you have, who's the rapper, the Ball, who was on stage with his singing?
Jello.
That's why you got Jello Ball talking about he hang with the real killers and hustlers. And that he from Chino, that's not even his experience. But our popular culture kind of deifies poverty and deifies struggle and puts it on a pedestal to where you want to relate to that. And if we don't, as a collective, reimagine what the American dream looks like for Black America, then you will have people who even are out of that socioeconomic tax bracket reverting back to chase cultural coolness.
Yes and no, I want to shake the table a little bit.
Shake the table.
Can I shake the table a little bit?
But do you follow what I'm saying?
I do, and now I'm shaking the table from another perspective.
Let's go.
Because where we all have this quote-unquote American dream to even make it out, within our own community, there also seems to be a huge sense of envy for those who make it out. Yeah. So although we strive to climb ourselves out, it doesn't also seem like within us that we praise those who are able to make it out, because we also say they left us. People want to keep them there. They don't like when someone has made it out the projects, has made it out the hood, has made it out. And unfortunately, once we leave, a lot of us don't come back.
No, we don't.
We don't pour back into the community.
But you can send resources back without physically being there. I can throw you a ladder. I ain't got to be over there holding it for you. But I can go back. We do it. I work with communities that do it. Like, you can give back without, I don't need to walk up and down Inglewood physically with my jewelry on to prove that I'm in the community.
And then when
but
they
I
do,
can
we
invest.
see what happens there. From Dog to Nipsey and everything
and
else.
Sauce Walker.
And now Sauce Walker, his homie, man. Like, you know, and so like there are ways to give back. And Derrick Rose does it very well in Chicago.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, there's so many ways to give back without being of the community.
He has some, is it Books and Roses or something? He just opened, it wasn't a bookstore.
You talking about the flowers?
The flowers. Oh, yeah, the flowers, Rose, which makes so much sense. Him even just creating jobs within his community by opening businesses. I think that's incredible.
And ironically, he's doing something with chess too. He's a lover of chess as well. And so he's
really,
So
you gonna have him on Chestnut Checkers?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna need to see that episode.
Absolutely. Answer that email, gang.
Okay, so producer Jason, where are we going from here?
Are we gonna do Guess Who?
I love this.
All right.
So we have a segment where normally we like to pull up, like, hypocritical tweets sometimes from our guests.
Oh, Lord.
No.
You're safe. You're safe.
Because you work for MTV, I'm sure they've had you clear out your tweets the same way they did mine. I don't know.
No, they didn't.
Oh, it's because you're safe.
Yeah.
I am not. I spent 2 hours cleaning out my tweets.
Mandy,
No, they sent me 27 pages
Damn.
of tweets.
Oh, they did run my Twitter diagnostic. I came back clean.
Diagnostics?
And what's the experience?
You gonna say diagnostics?
Yeah.
When they just ran to do like some computerized like
Computer thing, an AI thing.
The AI will
catch
plug
the
in
words.
certain words.
Yeah.
And you know what messed me up actually?
What's that?
Drea had a swimsuit line at one point called Fine Ass Girls.
Yep. With the
Spelled
acronym.
with the acronym.
Yeah.
Oh baby. They said delete all that shit.
Yeah.
They said delete all that shit. and then it used to be a compliment for my friends. I'd be like if a friend was fine, I'd be like, damn, I'd molest you. That is no longer something you can say. Like there were so many
No
tweets.
double entendres
Oh, there were
there.
so many tweets. Like
So in the diagnostic run, Mandy got 27 pages.
27 pages of
Dometi
tweets.
That's insane.
got none. I just want to say that through the crosstalk. If anybody didn't peep that,
27 pages.
That's
And hers was probably
Yeah.
size 10 font.
You know what?
Single
I gotta be honest, Jason. There was a little bit of cap because when I was considering the job, I did my own sweep.
Okay.
I used this.
Oh,
I
you
did
already
a
knew, like,
thing.
let me just go.
I was like, let me go.
But also,
so.
look how lovely it is that 27 pages and none could sit here and have a conversation
See,
and agree to disagree or just come together with
And learn. I'm over here learning
or
from you
addressing
too.
some discourse. You feel me?
that's a fact.
Okay, so
Okay, so
Jason,
what are we doing?
Jason's about to. Damn, and I
So-
forgot to highlight some of them, but I see you went through.
I know. So we got this thing called Guess Who,
Okay.
and we've been talking about the American Dream. And so I'm going to read some quotes about different people who've spoken about the American Dream.
The
It's
only
white,
clue
black,
that we have are their initials.
Okay.
It is not whether they're white, black, rich, poor, but these are people that you would know.
Okay.
And these are some of the thoughts that they've had on the American Dream. Our job is to guess who said it.
Try and
Okay.
guess them.
Okay.
So I've highlighted 3. I got some
let's do
more,
3.
depending on how fun we have. So
Let's
we'll
do
see.
3.
Okay.
So we've deluded ourselves into believing the myth that capitalism grew and prospered out of the Protestant ethic of hard work and sacrifices. That's what this person said about the American Dream.
Now, the initials are MK, so I'm just going to go with Martin Luther King
Dometi, what do you think?
because I don't know another MK. But also, this sounds like someone speaking from the 60s.
But it's missing the L. I can't even see
I think it might
Martin
have
King
been
without
too
the.
easy to put that.
It is Martin
It's
Luther
too
King,
easy.
right?
It's Martin Luther King. Oh, so you took the L out
You know
to.
what
too
my,
easy.
my denominator was for him is that he always talked about Protestants in his speeches. He always,
Even that, that's a
Yeah.
church.
Before we
That's
even
a, that's
unpack
a,
the-
that's a church
But I
element.
picked this one because
Right.
he was talking about capitalism to tie it back into what you were saying, because it's a conversation that's been happening for a long time about the idea of capitalism torpedoing the American
That
dream.
make me feel good. I accidentally
Not you
quoted
sounding
King.
like Martin Luther King.
I bet.
All right, so here goes another one.
Because I was about to say some random Twitter users using my rhetoric.
So here's this one. I am the epitome of what the
Oh.
American dream basically said. It said you come from anywhere and be anything you want in this country.
Initials, so that you guys can play along, is WG.
I am the epitome of what the American dream basically
Warren G.
said.
Fits. That fits.
I mean,
That
the
actually
epitome
works.
of the American dream. I would assume that this is someone.
It is an
who-
entertainer. I'll say that.
An
because you said
entertainer
Warren
who
G.
came from another country.
oh,
You know what threw me off though? Because the G is what the. Because for some reason I read this in Will Smith voice. It was like the epitome of what the dream, and I'm like,
Not
so
you
if it's
sounded like Will Smith.
WS, it would have
so
been
when you
Will.
find out who it is, you got to do it in their voice.
Oh, so, who is it?
Oh, we're doing
West
that.
Side Gun? Like, who's it?
That's a good one too. That's a good one too.
American dream.
First off, West Side Gun is from fucking Buffalo. Can we not sit here and make it seem like he came from another country?
Is Buffalo not another country?
I mean,
it's basically
Yo,
Kansas.
Buffalo
New
got a
York.
wild drug problem
Yo,
right now. It's
Buffalo
tough.
ain't no joke.
Okay, wait. Only because I want to hear him do this voice.
Oh,
Who
I'm
said
scared.
this?
This is also too. When I say it, I want you to know what y'all think. If you think if you agree with this person, it's Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh.
She says she's the epitome. Of
I am the
American dream.
epitome of what. That's all I got. What's your
Really? Okay,
Surprised that you say that?
I just, my mind went super problematic, and I'm not going to say what I just said.
I was surprised by how patriotic it made her seem.
Okay, and do
I like
you
it.
know why maybe
you know what she is?
I wouldn't have guessed? Well, she's kind of is she? She's not even MAGA adjacent, is she?
Well, I was gonna say, you know why she's so
MAGA
patriotic?
rising.
Actually, she is one of those people that actually didn't like the term African American because she's like, I'm just American. Why do I need a hyphenated category for
one
my
of those?
Americanism? So, I'm neutral on the idea.
And
of
you
it,
know
but
what?
she is-
I want to say that it makes sense of her being the epitome of American dream because she had to work hard because she had no privilege. As a dark-skinned black woman, as a not so attractive woman, as everything that I'm sorry, I know I didn't have to say that.
King, I was gonna let it skate.
She let it fly real comfortable too. You saw that?
I was gonna let it.
She's one of our heroes. She's still active. She's
But we
doing-
can still acknowledge whether she.
Well, you know what, Mandy?
I ain't never heard no man say.
No,
"Ooh,
man, I'm not going
I wanna
front.
be
And
a
I'm-
whoopee
and
over."
Allegedly, she got. She be outside.
I'm not going front, and I'm not saying this just because we potting or whatever. The cameras are here. I looked at an old picture of Whoopi Goldberg from the '90s, a hairshot, and I said,
I'd like to see it.
No, I'm gonna find it. I genuinely was like, I can't believe they convinced us this woman was unattractive. Now, I
Okay.
like the words, even though this sounds real.
I said conventionally unattractive.
You didn't,
right
but
there.
I did. I'm
that
adding
right
it.
there. Come on, now.
Fire.
That's
Fire.
AI. That is AI.
What you mean?
Getty
That's what she
Images.
looks like.
That is not her.
Getty
She
Images.
was smoking a
Getty-
cigarette.
You
Like,
can
what's
stamp Getty over any
There's a
picture.
photographer
That was like
credits right
1981
there.
or something like that.
Bro, that is not
With the
Whoopi.
cigarette in the
That's
hand. Look at
Whoopi.
that.
Let me see
That's what
another
I'm saying,
picture.
like-
But see,
we let them tell
but
us-
also to the role she played, she knows how to like when she wore the hat, she don't look like this.
Yeah,
You know.
Let me see another picture.
and we
You
get
like
we
this
get
one?
caught up
This
in
one doesn't go?
and she's older, but I saw something.
Why y'all only?
because we're making
Okay.
a point. He's showing her young, like all of these
Whoopi
pics.
was
This is a
aight.
beautiful woman, man.
Let me see. Go up.
Again, the stereotypes that the others portray on us and say that she wasn't a good-looking woman.
No. We're not gonna do that.
indoctrinated us by-
Not one-
that's
not
self-hate.
now.
But see, that's why I like the term, even
Say
though people
Grand
don't call
Rising,
it
King.
woke. That's why I love the term
She banned it from-
unconventionally attractive because it says that. What is it?
No, because as men, ain't nothing. I ain't never heard
You know
not one man my whole life be like, now Whoopi, I tap
That's
that.
because we were taught not to even look at fine dark skinned women,
First off-
unless it was like Gabrielle Union or somebody like out the league
First
bad
off,
as
have
hell.
your own goddamn opinion. This is what I be talking about y'all with selective ignorance. Y'all don't let the motherfucking world tell y'all who can and can't.
Exactly.
I'm saying I ain't never heard nobody say I want to be in Whoopi over.
No, I got you, but I think a lot of people. I think groupthink is a thing. We know groupthink is a thing.
No, I don't groupthink, which is why the internet hates me. Because I
That's
don't
real.
groupthink.
My nigga, people were calling me African booty scratcher and not messing with dark skinned dudes when they were younger. I woke up one day.
That's a classic one.
I
right there.
woke
That's a
up one
classic
day
phrase
and
for
Morris
kids.
Chestnut was a thing. All of a sudden, I'm attractive. You know what I'm
top
saying?
shelf
So
now.
like
no.
people just
You know what's
decide.
crazy about that too? So growing up in Florida.
Not to say I look like Morris
no
Chestnut. I'm
one-
just saying dark skinned brothers.
We knew.
You don't want nobody putting us
I
side
ain't
by
trying to get
side.
killed. I ain't trying to get killed.
You have dreads. But that was actually the same thing that I experienced, believe it or not. Growing up in Florida, nobody is actually African American. Everyone, especially in my schools, were first generation, normally Haitian, Jamaican, even if you were Latina, you were Cuban, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Mexican, Colombian. Like everyone was from another country essentially. And I remember when I first told people my dad was Jamaican. Oh, I got made fun of, or they automatically assumed he had dreads, smoked weed, and African booty scratcher was still the same thing applied even to Jamaicans back then. You want to know when it changed? Fucking Sean DePaul.
Sean DePaul.
Sean DePaul.
Someone
Somebody
go
give it
to
to Literally, being Jamaican wasn't even a cool thing to be until
Yes.
it became mainstream in pop culture.
Groupthink.
But look at
Group
Haitians.
think.
But look at Haitians. A lot of Haitians weren't proud. To
No,
say
they had
were
Wyclef.
Haitian, because they will always say they were Jamaican because of that stigma.
They were- oh, at one point,
and
yes.
then Fugees came out,
And
they
then
were like,
Fugees
oh.
came
And then it
out.
was like, oh, they cool now.
You're actually right. At one point, a lot of Haitians, even growing
Yeah,
up,
they did what
they,
he
In
said.
Florida, yeah, I know that was
they
probably crazy in
aligned or
Florida.
said that they were Jamaican just because Haitians had a negative stigma around
Yep.
them.
And if you was non-Caribbean, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't
If
know.
just put them
You
in a
wouldn't
box,
know.
yeah.
And I think that that's a thing that you only experience if you're from like a melting pot, like either
Yep.
New York, like a Brooklyn, or an Orlando, Florida, a Miami.
Yeah.
Like knowing how you actually view different, which is why we have all of these breakaways into our own black community because we all viewed each other as something different, essentially.
But before we continue with Guess Who, real quick, last thing. You said earlier, I ain't never heard nobody say I want to bend over Whoopi. I just want to say this.
Us bringing this back is crazy.
looking
I
at
know it's a
something
big
right now I wanna bring up.
It was just one last thought. Look at these niggas baby mamas. Like we be having
Wow.
we be having an unrealistic view when we
Oh, really? What you right?
of what you actually
also,
would
let's be very
approach
clear.
in real
Let's be
life.
very clear. The men that I'm saying said that or never said that probably couldn't breathe Whoopi's farts. Okay,
You see what I'm saying?
Whoopi wouldn't pay them. No, never mind. Let's be very clear.
We get real judgmental
Yeah,
when we
because-
looking at scrolling Instagram. She alright, she a second,
Because also,
she alright.
guys, Whoopi is the prize. Okay,
Come on now.
Whoopi would be the prize, not you.
about to
She
read
said
it?
that her preference is for casual encounters and lack of focus on long-term commitment. She's also been married 3 times.
Oh, she
So
outside.
she's been outside.
I love that for
Somebody
her.
You gotta get home selected.
I love that for her.
Gotta get home
Right,
decisions.
because now that she gonna come for me, you don't call me unconventionally pretty or not pretty. I don't know what the hell I said. Let's do our last
Let's do
one.
one more. All right, so ready? This one, y'all never gonna get this one. It's PD, but it's not that PD. I am living proof that the American dream still exists.
Oh.
It is still alive and well. There's only one trick. You have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and work very, very hard.
I thought that was me. Nigga, get up and
I
roll.
don't
No, I'm
like
just
the
playing.
messenger.
PD. Someone who is living proof of the American dream and believes that the only trick is to roll up your sleeves and get to work. I actually thought this was going to be Kim K. Because she even said, all you got to do is you guys don't work hard enough.
Are they black?
Pete Davidson.
Oh.
Let's guess who. See, it's good. You have to pick clues like that.
You gotta pick right.
You're trying
This
to
is-
knock it
So
off.
they not
Oh,
black.
are you
Pete
guessing
Davidson
too?
is a good one.
Oh, Pete Davidson is a good one.
That's a good
Because I was
one.
about to say he unconventionally pretty too. He had to work hard. he is, but he done bagged them all.
He done
but
bagged
it's
them all.
because he's privileged in his pants. That's a whole nother
That's a
thing.
bonus episode.
Okay,
Pretty-
bonus episode. I don't know this one.
I still want to at least put up a guess. I don't want to take too long thinking. American Dream is still alive.
It's a woman.
It is a woman. Okay.
Okay.
Paula Dean.
Mm.
Boom.
Mandy DeSantis. Got that one.
went crazy.
Say that.
Don't
Say
do-
that.
Why do y'all do this to me?
That's
Just because I
great.
know a woman with some elbow meat cooking some collards, okay?
Yes. But Paula Dean, Southerner, a food entrepreneur. Big
yes.
controversy like 15 years ago. Let it known that she lets the N-word fly left and right.
She does. That's why you would don't do that because I don't buy any of her cookbooks. I don't want her.
And that's your
unseasoned.
man's. That's your man's.
Don't do that. We're not gonna do that.
But look at her belief that all you have to do is roll up your sleeves and work hard. She believes in the dream, right?
I mean,
From
she
a
got
certain
it.
generation
She's from a
too.
certain generation,
She's achieved it,
exactly.
and I think
But she is a white woman from the South,
Right.
cooking,
Working hard
like
for her don't-
working
not the
hard,
same.
hard for her
Different
is so different from everyone else, from even from her era. You know what I mean? Whew.
yeah.
So I do want to ask you the now what? Do you, from this conversation, clearly you don't believe in the American dream. For people who, I like to leave off with something. For anyone who's listening and believing, you motherfuckers, if I work hard, I can achieve anything. Do you have anything to say to maybe those people who struggle or do believe in what the American dream looks like? Like, where would you leave off with someone? You feel me?
Well, working hard is the baseline, right? So
Okay.
working hard and hustling, rolling up your sleeves, being willing, if you can, to take the unpaid internship, making whatever arrangements you can to sacrifice. That is all else constant. That just has to happen. That
Okay.
doesn't mean you're going to achieve your dream or nothing like that. But that just has to happen. So if that isn't happening, you definitely won't.
Okay.
But the next level beyond that is define success for yourself.
Ooh.
And you don't have to buy into America's idea of success. It doesn't mean that you hit this certain dollar amount. It doesn't mean that you have this type of partner who does this type of job. It might not even mean you have one partner at all or you have multiple, whatever you want to do. But you have to define what that means for you. And I think that even our parents, the parents of first gen kids are starting to learn that the American dream looks different for every household, for every family, for all of your offspring. You can't put your kids in a box and force them to do things that God didn't put them on this planet to do, because they won't even be successful or happy even if they do get that degree. Now they're saddled with debt and they're depressed. So I would say for anybody out there, hard work is already, that's non-negotiable. But the next thing is find out what happiness looks like for you and connect with whatever your spiritual base is and simplify life and deconstruct this idea of capitalism and happiness that America's put on us. And, then you probably will find some sort of contentment.
Dometi, that's gonna go viral. You know, with the yellow banner at the top and bottom.
Oh, the VS agent.
The VS. I'm not gonna lie. Or I'm gonna put you in black and white and put strings behind you as you say that, because that was. I'm thinking of post production. How am I gonna cut this shit up? Because that was a bar. No, but valid. I think that's the important thing, right? Again, I think even in terms of us living the same life with the pressures now to purchase a home because we've reached a certain, part of the tier or to go. Now, what's next? There's always a what's next, like you said. And I do find that to be true. Like, you have to define happiness for yourself. You have to define success for yourself. And essentially, that's why I said a bitch is just existing. My relationship is defined how I want it to be. My, how much money I make and why I want to make this money is for me, not for anybody else. Yeah. It's for me, which is why when y'all listen to me, y'all be like, who the fuck is this bitch and who's she talking to? Not you, bitch. It's for me. It's my thoughts. I'm learning to exist in a world that every which way and turn, I thought I was making the right one. Something came and knocked me off and pushed me 10 steps back to where I had to fucking pivot and figure this out. Like, I'm not in control of the things I thought I was in control of. And this dream is a dream. That's it. Yeah. And so while I'm here, what makes me happy has to be for me and not anyone else. And I think when you're able to walk into the room and again, you find that happiness, but you found it within yourself, and you can walk into the room, not as a homeowner, not as a C-suite exec, not as a mother, not as a wife, but as someone that you're truly content with. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's all that fucking matters.
That's it.
And y'all could choose to selectively be ignorant if you fucking want to, motherfucker. Anyway, question for the audience. What's your idea of the American dream? Still the original mantra of hard work and determination, or something more philosophical that has to do with happiness, like Dometi and myself said? Anyways, guys, Dometi, where can they follow you, subscribe, and hear more of these fucking drops?
Man, Chestnut Checkers. I just started the page, the CNC podcast. If y'all follow now, y'all will be the 101st followers. So please help me build this platform that we just started, which I got to say this. I'm going to say it on my show as well. Thank you for your support throughout the years.
Of course.
People don't even know. We're going to talk on my show more about this, but how much you invest and help other people.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're one of those ones. We need that to be a bigger conversation. You one of those ones.
Anything I appreciate that even being here, because I come on here like the villain, but it's a bit of it's entertainment in a front. Sure. I genuinely believe that there is enough for all of us to eat.
Absolutely,
enough room at every
people say
table.
that you move like that for real, and I want people to know that. And so you can follow me at Dometi, Dometi, and
wait, your series.
Oh, my series.
Because
so I got two series.
You narrate it, right?
I got one more series that I need to shout out.
Candyman,
the true story behind the bathroom mirror murder.
I knew there was one more.
Yes, it was an episodic, a 6-part docu-podcast that I hosted and co-executive produced with CBS 48 Hours. And it looked into the true story that inspired the Candyman movies. Ooh. It actually originated with the murder of a real woman, an African-American woman, in a housing project in Chicago. And they took her story, gave no credit to her, and
I never could say that word in the mirror.
Yeah, literally. I hadn't even seen the movie until I did the podcast, but it's an enlightening podcast. It's entertaining.
Wow.
We picked the music, self-created the music with the whole crew. Shout out to the CBS 48 Hours team. That was one of my happiest moments in my career because we debuted at number 2 on True Crime on Apple.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah,
a huge deal because true crime is the number one genre.
Yep. Number one.
The hardest genre.
Come on.
Yep.
Period.
Yep. Top 8 overall on all Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, voted it one of the best podcasts of 2024. Spotify voted it one of the best podcasts of 2024. So, check it out. I'm really proud of that work. And, I think you guys will enjoy it and learn a lot from it.
Again, follow Dometi everywhere. All of his information will be in the description of this episode. Not you finding our tagline, finally. Oh, my God. Well, guys, if you want to watch this full video, make sure you go on over and subscribe. That's patreon.com/Selective Ignorance. And I do want to also leave you with the reason why I do this in terms of the American dream and where I see myself. It is as a podcaster, which leads to audio first. So hopefully this audio sounds better than some of my past episodes. We had technical difficulties over here early on with my projecting voice. However, look, you already know. Shots fired. Anyways, because this costs a lot, this is an independent pod. The way that you can support me is by going over to the Patreon, seeing the full video. I have ignorant rants over there. I'm starting as well the kickbacks. I don't know what I want to call it, but basically you guys can join me once a month over there. So that's on Patreon. Other than that, make sure you subscribe, rate 5 stars, do all of the things to keep us on the charts. And you can hate it or you can love it. Either way, are you choosing to be selectively ignorant or are you choosing to be educated? See you next week.